Okay. Can everyone see us now? I really hope so. We think we've solved the audio issue. Sorry. uh, that's the joys of live recording, folks. uh, let's see who's in chat. Hopefully, someone can point something our way. Hello, chat. Can you hear us? Hear us.
Yeah,
Alrighty,
hello.
let's. Yeah, I see bars moving, so I'm going to take that as a yes. And let's kick off the show, John.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, I can hear it coming through on the stream. Perfect. Awesome. I'll play the intro music.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to Doublejump Radio Live. I'm your host, Abir, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, John. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good. Naturally playing no games. And, otherwise doing alright. What about you?
Yeah.
Something big happened?
Yeah, I did. I completed a quest line I've been tackling for a long time now, and that is getting married. So, 2 years after having kind of like a COVID 5-person's, wedding where you had the whole signing, we finally had our proper ceremony with family and friends, even family kind of visit, like watching from, Google Meet across the world. So that was a lot of fun. That was last Thursday. For folks at home, and I guess for you as well, John, I come from Southeast Asian background, so we generally, so the weddings that we tend to have back home, or I guess like Hindu weddings in general, go over multiple days. And even though we condensed a lot of the events into a couple of days, there still was a lot to do. And so like my wife had her henna done on the Monday last week, and I got some henna done as well. I'm not sure if the stream can see, so it's a bit faded now, but we had some kind of matching henna, and she had a lot more work obviously done. And then on the Wednesday we had a turmeric ceremony where I guess culturally we, like your friends and family come over to the house and they kind of put turmeric like paste on your body as like turmeric, I guess, is like a traditional like antiseptic / kind of like skin cleanser, like has a lot of health benefits. So I'm not sure if it's like a mix of that plus some religious significance as well. And then on the Thursday we had the actual wedding day. We had, everyone getting ready in the morning. Then we did a pre-wedding shoot. And then we did the actual wedding ceremony. And we did a traditional Hindu wedding ceremony, a condensed version of it, which still went for about 3 hours. And then we had dinner with the bridal party afterwards. So it was like a bit of a crazy day, a long day, but I think everyone had fun. It was so much like fun just seeing everyone and sharing all the love and happiness together. So it was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So apologies for I think it's been 4 weeks, like 3-4 week break in terms of not being there for you all, but we're happy to be back. John, good to see you again. Good to talk games again. What have you been up to?
I did play one game, but I only played it for a couple of days, which is like Mech Extermination Squad, which is like this sort of it's like Mega Man Bionic Commando-esque, or like they're like an homage to both of them, like Boss Rush sort of thing. I liked a lot of it. I didn't love aspects of it, and then otherwise I've been playing Pokemon Go too much, and I'll have an article up about that soonish. Not about me playing too much, about something else. And then otherwise I've just been reading and watching TV. Something like that, which I'll get into a bit later.
Yeah,
the TV part, not the reading part.
We've got some Moon Knight discussions later on, so stay tuned for the chit chat section. In chat, Arzim0832, thank you so much for the congratulations. Incredible journey so far, and I'm so excited to, I guess, start this next chapter of my life. And yeah, it's been crazy planning the wedding, so hopefully with some time back, can focus on playing more games and doing some more writing, which is always something to be excited for. Let's kick things off and talk about, I guess, the main the articles that have gone up on Doublejump over the past past month. The first one I want to talk about is Ruby's article about, I guess it's kind of become like a cult. Like, I didn't really even know much about the show, but it's a show called Severance, and it stars Adam Scott from Parks and Recreation, and it's directed by Ben Stiller. You know, comedic actor. Everyone, I guess, kind of knows who that person is, but it's on Apple TV Plus, and it's following someone, a man named Mark, played by Adam Scott, who's had his memories kind of, I guess, artificially, surgically divided between work and home. And it's full of mysteries. It's kind of like a thriller as well. And Ruby on our team wrote an excellent article talking about 3 games that she recommends people play if they really like the show. I guess I feel bad for spoiling it, but the 3 games she's listed are BioShock Infinite, Control, and Soma. I'm not going to go into the specifics of what she said. That's definitely what everyone should check out and read. But that's probably the latest article that we've come out. Before that, though, we had a dynamic duo of articles from you, John. First of all, it was the article you wrote about Pokemon Legends and why Arceus should have had co-op if Game Freak ever does release a sequel. Can you tell us a little bit about what you covered in that?
Yeah, it's because I finally got around to playing Legends, which not sure I talked about on the podcast yet. Did I? Do you remember?
We did briefly, because I think you had just gotten it and you had just been playing it like crazy, but that was that was a month ago.
Yeah. No, I wasn't sure. It would have been just around the time we stopped.
Yeah.
So it ends up being very repetitive as a game, more than I mean, it naturally would be. Any game really is, but I don't know, the more I played it, the more I realized, man, it's like playing with other people would be perfect for it, just because you play it like Pokemon Go, where you kind of play it really efficiently and fast. And the more you get into the game, the faster everything kind of goes.
Yep.
Like, you do everything a bit better and faster and more efficiently. And you're just speeding through aspects of it. And then you get Pokemon mounts where you're literally moving faster throughout the game as well. So it's anyway, it's the more I played it, it's I was kind of getting more and more sick of it because I was playing too much of it, and I was playing it too quickly. And I was thinking and that's just something that stood out in my head, where it's this would be so good with other players. Mostly because it already kind of cribs so much from Monster Hunter, which is very co-op centric nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just just do that as well. And also the other idea I had was if the mainline games, like Scarlet and Violet coming out at the end of the year, if those are the traditional Pokemon games, then Legends could be the co-op sister series.
Yeah.
In my mind, at least. I think that would work really well.
Yeah.
But I bet it's not going to happen. I think it'd be great, but
yeah.
I was basically just arguing this would be awesome. And then,
100%, because from when we had that discussion, and I guess reading the online discourse, is that it's a very sparse world. I mean, not talking about, I guess the graphics and where they might be lacking in a lot of places, but also the fact that there's not much to do besides kind of the main tasks again and again.
Yeah, that's something that stands out about it, is just how sparse the environments are. As you play through the games, I don't mind how it looks generally. The character models and everything else except for the overall environment. It looks pretty nice. I like the art style a lot. It's just that the environment, the worlds are so big compared to what these engines can usually handle and stuff. So they really suffer for it.
Yeah.
So so it's, anyway, I like that game a lot. I need to come back to it, but it's because I was fully planning on going through the Pokedex and getting everything. And then by the time I got to the end of the story, I was just completely drained. So I'll come back to it eventually. I
think that's where having a crew of people to play with is that even if what you're doing is mundane and repeated, you're just it's like a chance to hang out and do stuff. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
doing
That's how I
strikes in
thought of it.
Destiny and doing raids and like not raids but like dungeons and WoW. Like I guess raids can be a bit more involved, but yeah, it's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is exactly what it is. Like you're doing something that's like it's more of a grind than you want it to be when you're playing by yourself,
Mm.
and having other people to kind of like make everything a bit smoother and more enjoyable
Yeah.
in several ways just makes everything so much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that was my idea for that.
And then
And
just
then
before that, we had more wrestling. Was this the
yes,
first wrestling article on our site that isn't a review of a wrestling game? I
did
think
we
it
have a
is.
review of a wrestling game?
I think we like back in old Doublejump, we had like WWE 2K13 or something, like really old.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yeah. So
long time ago.
this has been long awaited. I know that Jake was very excited when this came through the
Oh,
the
okay.
pipeline.
Yeah, because I think Jake has some ideas for pro wrestling content as well. Though I'm
Yes.
not sure if he watches much, so I'm not kind of.
I think
I wouldn't expect it soon. People who are listening.
I
But,
think having someone to bounce those ideas off will make him watch it again, because I think if
yeah.
you if you only consumed mainstream wrestling like WWE, you might be a bit disappointed like over the past few years, but from the discussions we've had here, it seems like AEW, Puroresu in Japan and stuff are really doing well, and kind of revitalizing, like kind of, wrestling storylines and wrestling as a spectacle. So maybe, who knows, maybe that'll be enough to get him back in there.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be nice.
Mm-mm.
Have like a spin-off podcast about wrestling. Probably not.
Maybe.
But maybe.
Maybe. Well,
Yeah.
like a little bit like you talked about the FTW, which I think I thought meant for the win, but apparently means fuck the world unofficially.
Yes.
But it's basically like it's like an unofficial, not WrestleMania, but it's like an unofficial like major championship within the All Elite Wrestling kind of promotion. But it's like they fight for pride. Is this like one of those inside things?
Yeah, like now that I've had time to like think on it a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's like I don't know, it's like since I've written the article, it's like I wouldn't completely stand by what I said in terms of like
Documentarian.
being like core, like being completely true to what it is in the promotion. Like I don't think I'm wrong, but it's I don't know, it's probably not like the best like text.
Yeah.
If you're going, this is what the FTW belt's about. it's a
Fair
little
enough.
fantasy.
Yeah.
But it is like technically an outlaw belt, where it's basically just a bunch of like heels, like the villains in wrestling.
Yeah.
They just have a belt for themselves, just so they can kind of like gloat about it to other the baby
Why not?
faces, like the heroes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of it.
That's a cool idea. Like,
yeah, I think it's fun. It's an old thing as well. It's like
Yeah.
from when the wrestlers like when he was wrestling, that was his belt, but it wasn't around for very long.
Yeah.
So he kind of brought it back as sort of a throwback thing.
Yeah, because
But
when
it's
I was looking it up, like looking for the images and stuff to schedule it, like Taz, he looks like he's a bit older a wrestler now, but seems like it's all like his kind of proteges or his knuckleheads, like his crew of like heels, just continuing the legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which-
It's like,
yeah.
well, as far as I know, because I didn't watch ECW, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, but it sounds cool. And it's like, but what I've like kind of over the 3 years of AEW, because the belt's been around for a couple of years or something like that now. Yeah, about that. And what's like kind of become clear is that it's like a crown now. Like it's about like the leader of the faction,
Yeah.
not just
Yep.
about something to like taunt people with. It's about like something they've put pride into.
Yeah.
Where
It
someone,
means something.
if the guy in the team doesn't have the confidence of the rest of them, they take him out, and now
Yeah.
and they put the belt on someone they want to lead, which I think is
Gotcha.
like a cool idea as well.
Yeah.
Which
It's like a
anyway
weird meritocracy, but within
yeah
a promotion.
yeah, it's like a little similar to not that I have a ton of experience with it or knowledge of it, but it's very similar to the Bullet Club. out of New
Yeah,
Japan
New
Pro
Japan,
Wrestling.
which is where Kenny
where-
Omega was part of that. Was he part of that? Was he a fan of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the leader of it once.
Yeah.
A lot of, but like traditionally the way it goes is that every time there's been a leader of Bullet Club, they get kicked out right as they leave the company for another company. They always do it the same way. And
Yeah.
it's almost like very like endearing, almost like it's always like a send off.
Yeah,
in
like a
way.
graduation.
But like in story, like in universe, it's always like they always kick out the guy, like
Why not?
to replace him with someone else who they also kick out as they leave the company.
Why
Over and
not?
over again.
Why not? We've got
Yeah.
fighting Oreo. So Kai, former Doublejump contributor, long time, I guess, friend of the show and co-host. He's saying, and he said, my pro wrestling persona is the documentarian, which I love that. I love that. That is a brilliant pun. That is a Tim Schafer level pun there. I love it. Yeah, and it is a little ceremony. This kind of send off that Bullet Club members get. It's cool that this stuff happens because you never hear about it in WWE anymore.
Yeah, it's not like because I keep up with a lot of the wrestling landscape nowadays because I have
Yeah.
too much time on my hands. I'm too interested in wrestling generally. So even like I know a lot of what's going on in WWE, even though I've like watched almost none of it.
Yep.
But
Nice.
yeah, I don't know. It's fun keeping up with this stuff. So I'll have another wrestling article up
Yes.
sometime in the next couple of weeks, maybe. We'll see how quickly I can finish it.
Yes.
I get very insecure when it comes to wrestling talk, apparently. So it takes me a while. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess the final article that went up since we last recorded was Ty's Elden Ring review, which, I mean, he wrote it as a belated review, but I feel like there's so much to this game that I'll forgive him for taking his time with it. But yeah, no surprise that he gave it a 5 out of 5. He's been a fan of the Soul series for a long time, and I guess even fantasy in general, like fantasy settings and novels and everything. So I think this is kind of the perfect mix, because it seems like Elden Ring is it's like a great evolution of the Souls formula. There's a lot of things that Elden Ring really improves upon, like quality of life things that seem to be a bit better. And it's like, I'm tempted, but I don't think I'm gonna tackle it. I don't think I'm the type of gamer that it's made for.
Maybe. There's been a lot of new people getting into it this
100%.
time.
Like
a
people
lot
you
more
wouldn't
than
think.
I expected.
Yeah. It's reached a mainstream level of success that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's like because its sales have been I'm not sure where they're at now, but when in a couple of weeks after release, it was at the same pace as Cyberpunk and GTA and the juggernauts of the industry, which I was really surprised. I shouldn't be surprised really because I knew how many people were excited for it.
Yeah,
I just wasn't expecting it to make that kind of leap from where Dark Souls was up to where it is now. So it's I think it was 17 million or something in the first few weeks, which is way higher than the I don't know,
even
3 or 4 million
sales. Yeah,
which is already insane for any game, really. So,
and it's especially nowadays where it's a single player, pretty much a single player only game. There's some multiplayer, but it's not like a GTA multiplayer. It's sort of asynchronous kind of multiplayer. So it's great to see that something that isn't just a Sony game is actually selling, being a single player only game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say Ty's Reviews is I think it's one of our especially great ones we've had in a while. I really enjoyed reading it. Not in that anything else.
No,
is bad,
I'm just saying.
Just in saying this
no,
one.
no, you're saying that's knowing the quality
Yeah.
that we put out, that's really, really great. That's great praise, especially coming from you.
Yeah. Anyway, but a couple of things stood out for me in Ty's review is one, performance issues, which isn't a huge surprise, but apparently it's pretty pervasive still after the patches.
Yep.
And except for PS4 version running on PS5, strangely, or not strangely, kind of, it's that one's locked 60 frames or
Makes
something,
sense.
or at least it was.
Probably has a
last
lot
time
less of extra effects and things like that might bog down the CPU, bog down the system. Sorry.
Yeah, but I as I understand, every other version has problems, which is kind of unsurprising, but whatever. And the other thing you mentioned that I'm not sure it was like a huge point, but I found it interesting enough, was that this game compared to the other ones, it's like for people who play it, you can't just kind of go like head first into a single build, because like Ty mentions how he goes with like a strength build this time,
Yeah,
because all the screenshots have a man with a gigantic sword.
it's kind of like
on his
implied.
yeah, but yeah. So apparently the game isn't really nice, like friendly for that kind of
Okay.
approach this time. It's trying to push people towards having like a spectrum of
Adaptive.
skills, like
Yeah,
like having magic as well as a physical weapon to slash with. And stuff.
that's actually pretty good because from what I remember, I feel like Bloodborne didn't have a shield, and that was like kind of like a Sakurai. Is it Sakurai? I think it's Sakurai. Who's a
I don't remember.
There's so many different Oh yeah, it's Yamazaki. I think it's Yamazaki. The director, Hidetaki Miyazaki. I think Miyazaki.
It is
Hidetaki Miyazaki. Sorry, there.
We really should have looked it up before.
Yeah,
said,
I'm
like,
terrible
6
with
different
that.
Names.
Was like apparently like that was kind of like a conscious decision to kind of like avoid that kind of turtling playstyle where people just like shield and just like absorb hits and things like that. So Bloodborne was kind of made more to be like, well, you got no more shield, you got to parry and you got to attack. And I guess like this might be like, taking a step back again and being like, okay, we're not going to criticize any particular playstyle. You just need to be able to adapt. And I guess not just
like,
min-max.
Yeah, they've tried to kind of tweak the system, like the base system they come with, like as they make more games, which is it's just like the next iteration, I suppose.
No, that's definitely another one worth reading. So I would 100% recommend. We'd both recommend you guys read. Everyone at home read Ty's awesome review, and even if you're not a fan, it's just a great review, just well written and just a lot of great insights there. Let's that's going to do it for the articles that we've had. Oh, let's see. Kai has added, quote, not just min-max, end quote, ruin the lives of all the hardcore Souls fans. Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because like those games definitely had kind of that like there were a lot of guides saying this is the way to play. I guess maybe a lot of them had to get thrown out the door when Elden Ring came out, which I think is good. Like having that discussion, a lot of people like trying to discuss. Oh, what, did you see this? Did you do that? It kind of like captures a lot of maybe some of the initial magic that people had when like Demon Souls or maybe even the first Dark Souls came out.
Yeah, there's like, I guess we kind of missed all of it since we haven't been doing the podcast, but it's like, it does feel like I heard about Elden Ring for like a month straight.
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100% agree there. Well, that's going to do it for the articles on our site. Oh, Kai, how many messages do I send before this counts as heckling? Listen, you can send as many as you want. I will try and check in and read them out loud and answer as we go. But yeah, definitely, everyone in chat, please do ask questions if you have any comments. This is the more the merrier. This is a fun time to talk games. I don't know about you, John, but I don't get to talk about games that much in my personal life. So this is like an awesome way to kind of actually talk shop.
Yeah. It's a vent.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for the articles on our site over the past, I guess, break. Head over to doublejump.co to read all of our awesome articles, including John's upcoming wrestling piece. So, John, let's take it over to the news. So the first article, the first piece of news for this past week, and I guess it's like part of that never-ending thread when it comes to Embracer Group. It's just that it's like the spectre, the Khonshu that seems to be looming over the shoulder, is that Embracer Group has acquired Square Enix's Western studios in a deal worth about $300 million US. So this was announced just earlier this week. This was, I guess, Square Enix has a history of questioning the value of its Western studios. I feel like ever since the original Tomb Raider reboot in 2013, like Square Enix has always said, "Oh well, these Western studios are underperforming. They're not meeting expectations," even though they're like independently, like in a nutshell, like in a vacuum, are selling well. It's just
Yeah.
no idea what Square Enix was expecting from them. But for this particular deal, the Embracer Group, in part as part of its ongoing spending spree, has added Crystal Dynamics, so the makers of Gex. That one's for you, Kai. Tomb Raider, Marvel's Avengers games, and then Eidos Montreal, the developers of the most recent Deus Ex games, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy from last year, as well as Marvel's Avengers, and Square Enix Montreal. So it's a mobile developer that is most famous for, I think Outriders was that like kind of like failed Destiny-like game, as well as the Go series, so Hitman Go.
They definitely didn't make Outriders.
Didn't they make
But
it? I
like-
thought it was them.
Wasn't it like Peas Can Fly or something? It was
Oh,
like the one...
People Can Fly. Yes. I'm thinking of another game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also,
Sorry,
that game did
my
well
bad.
in hindsight. But like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get what you mean.
And Square Enix Montreal, who made the Lara Croft Go and Hitman Go. I don't think there was a Deus Ex Go, but I think Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go mobile games, like turn-based kind of like puzzle games that were very, very popular a few years ago. So all three studios are included as part of the deal, as well as franchises like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and quote more than 50 back catalog games. Which, if Kai is anything to if anything's to go by his message about never forgets the gecko means that there is a chance that Gex, everyone's favorite James Bond spoofing gecko, may be back in a remastered trilogy a la Spyro the Reignited trilogy.
It does actually seem likely with Embracer. They've been doing a lot of remasters of whatever. So.
Yeah. I mean, hey, why not, right? Crystal Dynamics is still around and it has the IP, so why not? And speaking of IP and franchises, Square Enix will still hold on to the rights to Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange, which I forgot Square Enix published Life is Strange. It's just one of those weird things, but hey. And what's going to happen is that in a follow-up investor call, Embracer's management revealed to shareholders that pending an approval process by Disney, it will also take over as publisher for both the Avengers online game as well as the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. So the single player like third person action game from last year. So in terms of a timeline for the event, so Embracer Group obviously requires all the necessary steps, going through government regulations and all the other external approval processes, and expects it to end during the second quarter of its financial year. So July, September this year, right, is kind of like the end of its second quarter for this financial year. In terms of what this means for Perfect Dark, the Perfect Dark reboot that came out, that is currently being worked on at The Initiative, which is a Microsoft-owned studio. The Initiative published a tweet saying, "Hey, it's all good. We're still making great progress. Quite great progress in building Perfect Dark together." So Crystal Dynamics is still... It seems like that agreement with Perfect Dark, the Perfect Dark team, is still ongoing, which thankful. I think everyone's been holding their breath for that.
Yeah, probably really, because like last time we heard about Initiative was like also like a month ago, was just how many people they've been losing as a company.
Yeah.
So that probably would have hurt otherwise.
Like, what do you think about this whole deal? Do you think this is just inevitable that Embracer Group is gonna just swallow everyone that isn't already owned by Microsoft or Sony or Tencent?
I guess so. They're kind of easy to imagine as like this kind of slow moving slime just consuming everything else. It's like it seems to be what's happening. It's like Yeah, I don't know. Like this one does seem to be like to the benefit of everyone involved, as long as
Yeah.
it doesn't. I mean, it'll probably lead to some sort of unemployment for someone, but just like
Yeah.
all of it, though, like they always do. But
Mm.
which not great.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it seems like a better fit for the properties. Seems a better fit for Square Enix, so they could now apparently invest in the blockchain. So that should be
Yep.
fun to hear about.
This is yep. This was the hurdle. This was it,
Yes.
John. Apparently, Western developers were the reason why NFTs weren't taking off for Square Enix. Apparently, that's the only reason.
Yeah. There was also a report that apparently Square Enix lost 200 million on the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like on the Marvel properties so far.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they just wanted to, cut the fat, like just cut it off once and for all. It's like, okay, we're sick of dealing with this. Even though they've always done okay.
Like the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, I think is a difficult game because it is a single player. It's a single player only game, and it is a tough sell for something that isn't like a tentpole release like a God of War or a Last of Us. I think I can't think of like maybe The Witcher was and maybe even Cyberpunk you could say were the last kind of like single player games that did really well. I mean, Cyberpunk was taken, like I'm trying to think of like, besides indie games, like what has been like single player only that has sold really well?
Elden Ring, right? But like well, that's not single player only. But like yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's been a few,
it's
but like
always tough. That's
I think
always
with
gonna be a
Guardians of
tough
the
sell.
Galaxy, it's like that one's had like really good word of mouth since it released.
Yeah, because
So like
it didn't look good in the
excitement.
promos.
It looked okay, but it looked very like forgettable, I thought.
It looked like a
'Cause
B,
one thing
B tier game. Like it didn't seem like a AAA game in terms of polish and things like that.
I think it looked a lot like a licensed game in the negative sense.
From THQ.
Like like it looked like, not Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it just didn't look very it just looked like a riff on what I've already seen. Yeah. It's just like, okay. And the gameplay itself didn't look all that enticing, so I just kind of wrote it off, which I think was kind of common.
And I think like kind of I think a lot of the trailers kind of the action looks very boring. Like a lot of the gameplay was focused purely on Peter Quill, and like Star-Lord's like the actual gameplay of Star-Lord in that game isn't very as compelling as the other characters, and like all the quipping and the banter and everything. So I think I mean,
I feel kind of mean focusing on Guardians actually, because Avengers
was the shit. That seemed like that was the steaming pile that no one liked.
Yeah,
I mean,
like they're still adding to it apparently.
Yeah,
but they're doing it very slowly.
Yeah, Kai says, the soundtrack deceives people into thinking it's good. I presume that's about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, got like a jukebox soundtrack.
Yeah, like kind of like in line with the movies, like the James Gunn directed films. Like speaking of which, I guess we're going to be getting a pseudo Guardians of the Galaxy movie in the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah,
because that's kind of got. I mean, he's basically with them now, right? Isn't that the whole like where Endgame and everything kind of left off? Anyway, sorry, that's
Marvel talks later.
Marvel talk, yes. Bad Abir. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for that news there. I mean, it's funny you talk about how Marvel's like those games look like movie tie-in games, because THQ was notorious for that, and Embracer Group is like kind of like some sort of weird modern incarnation of THQ.
Yeah, I think I'd imagine they'd have a better idea of budget versus profit. Like which these games did a bad job of projecting.
Yeah, because like you can't acquire studios if you don't have money. So Embracer Group knows a thing or two about making money, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully, I guess. I'm not sure if that's anyway.
Well, speaking about major power moves in gaming, John, what's happening with E3?
It's like a negative power move, but like so the ESA, the Electronics Software Association,
yep,
is that what it's called?
Yep.
E3 the entire event has been for the 2022 has been officially cancelled. It was originally cancelled back in January, like the physical in-person event version of it. But they hadn't announced whether there would be a digital equivalent like there had been previously last couple of years, I think is right, or at least last year. So that's not happening either. It's just like completely not happening for 2022. But as part of the announcement, they are announcing it for next year with a quote reinvigorated showcase. So they had a statement with this where they said, quote, I'll just go over all of it. There's not much news to this one otherwise. Quote, we will devote all our energy and resources to delivering a revitalized physical and digital E3 experience next summer. Whether enjoyed from the show floor or your favorite devices, the 2023 showcase will bring the community, media, and industry back together in an all-new format and interactive experience. We look forward to presenting E3 to fans around the world live from Los Angeles in 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, so just the last little bit of news from this. Apparently, according to IGN's sources, with ESA or just in the industry in general, discussions around E3 has been like really fraught and just tense because ESA just haven't been talking about what's happening for
never a good sign.
It sounds like so they've just been silent about it the entire time, so no one knows what's happening. Now they just shut it down. So I'd be curious to see what 2023 actually looks like when they kind of have they weren't doing all that hot anyway because every major company keeps having their own show and doing fine and not having to pay ESA or whatever to do anything.
It's been a like we've talked about it before, like the decreasing relevance of E3, but I think for me, E3 is just one of those, like, and Kai in chat, saying, he's like, oh shit, genuinely shook. Like, I'm not sure if that means like this is the first time you're hearing about it, but like E3's, I always look forward to it, and it was something that I always like on Doublejump. We always had the running joke that we always called it the gaming Christmas, because that's just how it always seemed to be. Like, you always look forward to it, like, what are the new games that's coming? What are the new? What we're learning about?
It's such a weird way to put it as well, because I agree. Because I'm pretty sure I thought of that when I was like younger as well.
Exactly, that's like, how I thought about it.
That's what it's like. I was like, oh yeah, Christmas, the idea of presents.
Exactly. Whereas E3 is when you like kind of, it's like when you and everyone else in the world are finding out about things at the same time, and there's always that mystique and that kind of reverence for like the press conferences and looking at all the new trailers and everything, whether or not they changed, like, they were like awesome or not. Like, you still looked forward to it, and like not having it again is weird. Because like 2020 was, like, there was like sort of an E3. It wasn't quite. It was like all digital, but I feel like that was like when Summer Games Fest really took over, in terms of like Jeff Keighley with his like kind of E3 adjacent showing.
Yeah, his 3-month extravaganza.
Yeah.
Of mild announcements. It's like, I think, like, thinking about it, it does feel like it really highlights how huge a role hype and anticipation is in the gaming community, like with people who follow games. Like, the idea that E3, a kind of consumer conference or like industry showcase about games that don't exist yet or like aren't available yet is like the highlight of the year for so many people. Is like, I'm not gonna say it's sad, but it's odd for it for a community. I think
it's like the hype is the anticipation is more important than the final product.
Yeah,
and I think like maybe that's like the cycle of modern media. Is just that there's like more buzz around the trailers and stuff than the actual movies, and I guess maybe with games and stuff.
It's like we're fueled by hope. But not necessarily satisfaction.
I guess the opposite to that would be Elden Ring, where I feel like Elden Ring got more traction after it came out than before.
And it already had a lot too.
Yeah, exactly. Because like then you got the engagement from the people who weren't already playing those games.
It's like it had like tremendous word of mouth before it. After like a decade of like hit releases leading up to it, and then it just it's like it was snowballing already, and then like a rocket hit it forward and just like
bang,
carried it into like something gigantic.
And like just Kai adding in chat, he added that, plus finding out whatever messed up BS Devolver hits the stage with. Like that's I guess
yes.
Devolver Digital became its own kind of like juggernaut in a way on the side, and always having those kind of zany presentations, and like that. I guess there was always something ridiculous that Devolver came out with, and it was always kind of like parody of what was happening at the other conferences. But I don't know, over recent years, like has it like kind of the parody is no longer a parody because it itself is a big player? I don't know, like I'm sure there would be there's like some crossover of the Venn diagrams there. Of the circle.
Yeah, it's like as all these like major companies drop out to do their own thing, Devolver's going to just be left like the biggest player at the event, something like that.
Yeah, like we're heading to a like is there going to be like a D3 where it's just Devolver, just Devolver? Like, I mean, let's be honest, like companies don't need an E3 anymore, right? They can set up their own conferences. Like Nintendo did that years ago with the Direct. Like, I bet a Nintendo Direct is so much cheaper to prepare. You basically need a white room and then some trailers versus, hiring out a massive hall and all the equipment and all the event, catering and all that stuff that gets involved with it, right? So that'll be... Oh, let's see. Fighting Warrior adds, I think it wouldn't be as funny if Devolver wasn't a big player. Gotcha. Oh, okay. I guess it became funnier as Devolver grew.
That's fair point.
No, fair enough. Because like, whatever her name was she like business lady something? Like, remember that like kind of comedian actress who kind of was like representing the toxic like gaming leadership? Like she's always on the like hosting the events and in like a kind of tongue in cheek shots at the like the AAA studios. That was always like a big part of E3.
Yeah, she's like the main character of Devolver.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like E3 is just going to be Embracer Group. Like, what if, like,
yeah. E stands for Embracer now.
It's like those 4X games. You know how they say like what is it? Explore, exterminate, or something like those. Whatever they stand for now, it's just like embrace, evolve, and like endanger or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like encompass. Like it's going to be something like that. But I think it'll be interesting to see. I know that Microsoft and Bethesda confirmed that both companies are still going to be doing some sort of stream or some sort of presentation. So,
they've announced the big like showcase for June, I think, a little while.
So it's still going ahead. So, like, I think it's just going to be. Yeah. It's just not going to be E3 branded. It's just going to be the same thing. It's just without E3 as like being the branding for it. And I mean, EA's been doing that anyway. Like a lot of companies have been doing that anyway. And like even PlayStation, it'll be interesting. It'll just be like Jeff Keighley and then everyone else.
Yeah, it's like the competitive angle that was mostly just game play, like actual players kind of projecting onto it. I don't think it's helped anyone. So it's like everyone's just leaving to control their own little spotlight.
You mean you weren't involved in all those who won E3 like Reddit threads and forum like arguments?
I actually never comment on anything, so no.
Good policy.
But did we do an article at some point? I feel like we have done that before.
I'm sure.
Maybe I was part of that.
We have. We definitely have. Or like someone says like, here's what I think about what happened, and like it'll
actually now I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've written several articles.
You probably have. Let's be honest. But yeah, that's yeah. So I guess it'll be back next year. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what gets announced around where E3, like kind of to fill the void that E3 is leaving behind. But I'm sure that Jeff Keighley's like kind of like rubbing his hands together and be like, I told you so.
Well, doing it right now.
Well, speaking of rubbing hands together and making money, let's talk about Square Enix announcing Kingdom Hearts 4. So earlier this month, so both this and the ESA news actually happened a couple of weeks ago, but obviously we're catching everyone up because we haven't recorded since then, and I guess a big part of this news is that Sora and his Disney friends are back. back with a quack. No, sorry. So on April 10th, Square Enix held a special 20th anniversary digital event for the Kingdom Hearts series, which is scary in and of itself because I feel really old now because I remember when the original Kingdom Hearts came out and going over to someone's house and seeing them play it on the original PS2, and me having a crush on one of the girls, like I think Sora's friend or something from the intro cutscene because I was 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because hey, I'm not the only one, all right? My wife's not listening. I'm sure it's all good.
Only one saying it on a podcast, though.
And as part of the announcement, so at the end of the kind of the digital stream, there's some other like mobile games and stuff, but let's be honest, everyone's caring about Kingdom Hearts 4. So Kingdom Hearts 4 is a full sequel. It seems like it is set like taking into account what's happened since Kingdom Hearts 3. But it's weird. It's sort of like a soft reboot of the series. It's actually going to be the start of a new story, maybe trilogy or a series of games referred to as the, quote, Lost Master Arc. Sora is back. I guess the announcement trailer is like he wakes up and he's in this new mysterious world called Quadratum, which basically looks just like Japan, like Tokyo. The game has a more realistic art style, like probably a bit closer to something like Final Fantasy 15 than traditional Kingdom Hearts games.
I think it's just for this like
section, this
zone
area
as well. Yeah.
But yes, it seems like it. But then like when you see like even the scenes featuring Goofy and Donald Duck, like even that looks a bit more realistic than stylized. But obviously, yeah, we'll find out like what this world is. So essentially, this world it's sort of like the Matrix, where everyone around Sora and the girl character in the trailer doesn't realize that this is like some sort of simulation of the underworld or like the afterlife in the Kingdom Hearts universe. This is like one representation of that, and it's I guess the biggest announcement, and this is the biggest news that everyone's been looking forward to, is that Sora no longer has clown shoes. He somehow in this alternate world in the afterlife he has discovered Converse sneakers and is now wearing normal sized shoes. Like that's the key takeaway I got from this whole trailer.
Yeah, game changer. I can play this game series now.
And what this reduction in shoe size means that the game has a lot more focus on momentum and movement, like running up buildings, jumping onto like falling things. Like
he's not wearing clogs anymore.
Well, that's the thing. That clearly the game engine was bogged down by the physics, the sheer physics of his shoes. Thank you, Kai. Thanks for joining us. Crimes to commit, people to frame. Sorry, I can't hang around. No, not a problem. We really appreciate you joining us this week. Hope to see you again next week. But yes, clearly that Luminous engine or whatever that Forspoken's running on just couldn't handle the amount of polygons that was required for Sora's giant shoes. So it makes sense. So the way, if you look at the video, like the actual trailer, you see Sora kind of taking on this giant shadow monster, like sort of like a kaiju sized monster, which I'm sure you'd appreciate, being a fellow kaiju fan. It looks a lot like Bayonetta in terms of there's like quick time events and a lot of like kind of insane physics, running up kind of scaffolding or running up pillars as they're falling to the ground. But it doesn't quite seem as cinematic as something like a Bayonetta, and I guess woven into the gameplay, like in terms of a twitch response to all the incoming attacks. But this is still super early, so who knows what it'll actually look like in the final showing. What did you think, like overall from this preview?
Honestly, not much because I haven't played Kingdom Hearts ever. It is like they keep adding more to it. I don't think I even expected a 4 for some reason. I think I'm not sure why I was surprised by it. I think I just never thought there would be.
Because normally
3.
there's like a 10-year
took
gap.
so long. Yeah, 3 took forever.
Yeah.
and that's all I really knew about it.
Yeah.
And then 4 is like coming out already. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. It just mostly just reminded me. It's like, okay, I should play one of these games at some point.
Yeah.
And not much else.
Yeah.
It looks
love
really
it.
nice. Like it's a very big. Like it probably the kind of quality, like the production quality of it, probably says a lot about how much
money.
Like, yeah, money. Like they're Square Enix is, willing to throw at it to really like pump it back up into a premier brand.
Like
or prestige brand.
Maybe that's why it had to sell off all those studios. It's like we need 300 million just to get, just to get this game off the ground. And
we already had to lose the shoes.
We had to lose the shoes. We lost the license to like the clown shoes manufacturer, whoever they were. So no more. Well, I mean, like Kingdom Hearts is kind of like Kingdom Hearts was like kind of everywhere. I remember seeing like Kingdom Hearts branded clothing and stuff like that. Like there's like Kingdom Hearts definitely became like a cultural phenomenon, and it was like kind of like a running joke where like Kingdom Hearts just seemed like so. Like the fan base apparently was so fervent and so crazy that like you could never say anything bad about it lest you feel like someone throw their keys at you or something ridiculous like that. I don't know.
I did not know that. I didn't actually know.
Yeah, there was. It was. I think there was like kind of a thing. It was like I think them and like Dynasty Warriors. Like people just didn't understand the appeal and couldn't get into the game, so they just kind of like created this whole narrative around the fans.
Yeah.
Which may or may not be true, but I know for me, like seeing Kingdom Hearts again is just like it's oh yeah, it's kind of comforting. You're like, of course there's another Kingdom Hearts in development. Like that's just reality now. That's just how it should be. It'll be. I think last time was like Toy Story being added into the mix in terms of like Disney. I think the rumors around this time are like Star Wars being incorporated into the Kingdom Hearts universe. What do you think about that? Like Baby Yoda and Grogu in Kingdom Hearts.
I don't think I like it. Like, 'cause I'm not someone who's like especially attached to Disney or Star Wars actually.
Yeah.
So it's not really. I don't know. I don't love the idea of integrating like realistic, grounded stuff in. Well, not sure if those terms exactly apply to Star
choose
Wars.
your words carefully there.
Yeah, but it's. Well, I guess just visually.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather. I don't know. I thought the charm of the series was like the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Something like Star Wars, So I don't know. I'm curious how they do it, I guess.
Maybe this is like where the true Star Wars sequel will come out. Like maybe this is like where the actual original plans and all the storylines will actually be completed in like a bow that all Star Wars fans have been wanting for the last decade, like 7 years or whatever since like episode 7 came out, and they're finally going to get the closure they need, but it's going to happen in Kingdom Hearts. This is
that'd be something.
Who knows? Maybe the Keyblade is like the dark saber. It's like it can counter the lightsaber, counter all that like kind of negative, like whatever Rian Johnson has done to Disney to Star Wars. Like maybe Sora can save it. Maybe that's the quest in this.
Why is he still being blamed for stuff? He didn't make the last one.
That's easy because it's just he's an easy target. Let's be honest.
Much of it was good. I'm not gonna.
It was very like okay, half the movie was good.
We're not getting into this.
The other half was bad. Everything with Ray and Ben was pretty cool. Then the other stuff with the ostriches and the gambling and stuff, that was a bit silly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I don't know, because I think wasn't there? I'm not sure if there was a rumor about like Marvel getting into it or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean,
but it's
it's
possible
cool,
now. But yeah, I don't know. We're talking a lot about a series we don't know much about. But
oh wow, what if it's a two-parter and you fight Thanos and like the first Kingdom Hearts 4 is like you're trying to defeat Thanos, but he clicks his fingers and half of all Mickey Mouse dies and everything, like they all perish.
It's like the start of Smash Brothers story mode.
Yeah. Oh no, Mickey! No, Sora, no! I don't want to die.
They're all dusting in a giant wave of death.
Oh god.
Who would survive? It has to be someone strange.
Oh. Well, there's only one strange person in there, so in Marvel.
Oh no, I meant like Disney stuff. Or
No, I know what you mean. No. What's
Yeah.
going to happen is, maybe I'm dating myself, but Uncle Dolan and Spoderman and everyone, Gooby, they're going to come out. All like kind of the off-brand NSFW versions of Disney are going to come out.
Okay.
Anyway, who knows what's going to happen?
They're going to scary places with Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts fans, we are happy for you all. Maybe
Doesn't sound like it, but
my grade 4 crush from whoever, or my grade 3 or grade 4 or 5 crush from whoever was that girl from the intro
grade
of
8,
Kingdom
grade
Hearts.
10.
Maybe she'll be back and everything will be right in the world. But yeah, that's going to do it for the news for this over this I guess short while since we last recorded. Let's take a little breather and head over to the chit chat section, which I think steadily is becoming everyone's favorite part, just because of the ridiculous things we talk about.
It's definitely our favorite.
So John, since we last had a chat, we had Moon Knight came out. The heavily long awaited, I guess, kind of reset. I don't know how to put it. It's like the new Marvel series. In
That's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what was the last one? Actually, don't. What was the last one? I feel like
it was
we
Hawkeye.
focus so much on Boba Fett.
Boba Knight.
Boba Knight. Yeah.
It was the last show was Hawkeye, which came out in December.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a little while. And then Boba Fett obviously came out, and this was like the next major Disney show. Well, we've both seen the first 4 episodes, so we are going to go into a little bit of spoilers. Like, probably for the next 10 minutes, just skip 10 minutes ahead, if you don't want to hear about it. But
it's not a timer, so.
But yeah, what have you thought about Moon Knight so far?
I haven't loved it. It hasn't really gripped me much.
Really?
Generally, yeah, not really. It feels like there's something kind of missing. I don't know. I've been trying to think it through. Like, I'm sure like actual TV reviewers have figured out, because I haven't been reading them. I need to go over, like, because I would actually be interested to see how other people are kind of critiquing it. But personally, I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those shows where I kind of end up dwelling over things I don't like about it and trying to figure out how I would fix it.
Yeah.
Which is a weird way to put it. It's just that it keeps kind of happening with certain shows, and it ends up becoming a distraction. So like, I don't know, just overall, I feel kind of dissatisfied with the first 4 episodes, even with the big twist at the end of the 4th episode. Personally, I think it ended up just, spoiler territory. It ended up just reminding me a lot of Legion, which I saw a comparison. No, the show, the X-Men show.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of like set in a hospital in the first season, and it's also about like split personalities.
Gotcha.
And just other, just generally being confused and lost in where the story was going.
Yeah.
It feels like that, but worse to me.
Was it based on? So, is Legion the TV show based on Legion the movie, or no? They're just unrelated.
No, it's based on
a comic or something.
I forget, it's based on an X-Men character. It's mostly original stuff though.
Oh, that's
it's like
cool.
The son of Xavier.
Oh, that's going to be very troubling.
Yeah.
Jesus. Wow.
But it's anyway. But it's like, it reminded me of that, and then it just made me think. It's like, I've already seen this as well. It's like
gotcha.
It's just overall, I don't know. I haven't been super into it.
Yeah.
I've been watching it though, so it doesn't matter.
Look, I've actually enjoyed it so far. Like I have found it fun, I think like the intros and the outros are super cool. Like all the different kind of Arabic kind of music mixed in and all that stuff. Like I think Oscar. I like it. It kind of makes more sense now why his accent is horrible as like a British, as his British like kind of.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking
Stephen
about it as
Grant.
it goes on because I didn't really have a huge problem with it originally because I don't know British accents. I don't speak it, so it's just not something I thought about much. But as
Yeah.
it goes on, it kind of ends up becoming more distracting, where it ends
Yeah.
up feeling like this doesn't sound right. As it goes on,
Yeah, and it's like it. I don't know. Like I've enjoyed it so far. I think I personally think it's like I think if I were to rank the Marvel shows, it would go Scarlet Witch. Oh, jeez, what came out? Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki for me. And then like this, I'd probably put like somewhere. I'd say this is probably like second, maybe to Scarlet Witch for me personally, just because I think the actors in this, like, I don't know, like, I think this is a really cool premise, and I really like the suit, even though in one of the fight scenes, it like he basically gets yanked by his cape, and it single-handedly highlights why capes are dumb in terms of superheroes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But I like how it's kind of like, when you got the full white suit, how the two, like, the two sides, the guy like Stephen Grant in more like a traditional suit, and then Mark Spector in more like an assassin suit. So it's kind of cool, like visual representation there, and like the use of mirrors and everything, like the relationship with his wife and everything. Like it's cliche in a way. Like you can kind of see the twist coming, except the psychiatric hospital thing. That I didn't really know that. Oh,
Oh.
Is the stream? Oh, I think Google. No, is it frozen? No, I'm just checking. Is the stream frozen, everyone? Sorry, can you see us? I don't know what's going on there. Nope. Is it refreshing? I think it's refreshing. Sorry. Okay, now it's working again. Sorry. Like I've enjoyed it so far. I really like Oscar Isaac. I think he's doing a really good job of like kind of moving from character to character. There's like one scene in particular where he like instantly switches from one to the other, and you can see his face change and everything like that. Like that was kind of really cool seeing that. Like Ethan Hawke playing like some sort of religious cult leader. Like I think there's a lot more they could have done with the whole Egyptian premise, and I think it's like kind of missed. It just becomes like another Marvel TV show thing of like just go from one location to another. Like
Yeah.
it just
But yeah,
rushes from
like,
one thing to another. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm correct about it, but
Yeah.
these Marvel shows, like these 6 episode ones,
Yeah.
they end up feeling like they had an idea for a movie, then they didn't really, then they stretched it out, and then
Yeah.
they never really rethought the plot properly to really
Yeah.
fit a television show.
Yeah.
And the 6 episodes ends up being quite a short amount, so it's like this weird space between a film and a television show.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it ends up doing a disservice to what they're trying to make out of it
Yeah.
over and over again. Like so far, like that's how I've got what I got from it.
And this is like kind of, this is sort of like it definitely to me personally is like channeling a lot of The Mummy, like from 1999, like in terms of the fact that like it's similar idea of like these people are trying to uncover this ancient, like bring back this ancient god and stuff, and then like and then you're dealing like even mentioning something like the Magi, like the ancient warriors who were designed to protect the secrets of the gods and stuff like that. Like it's cool, like it's like parallels to there, and it's like you don't get a lot of Egypt. I mean, the good thing is like they show different parts of Egypt, like the city of Cairo, like you've got the market stalls and everything. Then they also show like the sprawling kind of metropolis of like being a modern city and stuff. So I'm glad that they didn't just do the whole thing of like, look at this Middle Eastern place. These like it doesn't do the Dune thing of showing Middle East and like Arabic people is just like being primitive. You know what I mean? And having Arabic music. An Arabic director having some Arab background. I mean, I guess one actress, but it seems a bit more reverent than like other depictions. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that it's a Black Panther level. It's definitely not, but I love the imagery around the white and like it's just I think it's a cool premise, an ancient Egyptian god giving you powers and you being their avatar, and like the fact that like Ethan Hawke's character like Harrow was Khonshu's previous avatar, and now he's kind of gone over to his enemy, which we haven't met yet. Like it's just kind of it's weird that like the other gods don't know where Amit is buried.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like parts of the story are intriguing.
Yeah.
They're pulling me along.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like every time I watch an episode, because like I'll talk about it next week maybe, because I actually forgot until we were like halfway through the podcast. But like me and my sister have been watching Moon Knight and Halo, basically side by side.
Oh wow.
And I'm more excited for Halo, even though
Oh, wow.
I also don't think it's all that great.
Yeah.
Like that show is also kind of, but it's like I end up being more excited for it because it's just kind of it knows what it is. Where Moon Knight feels very kind of split between several things it wants to be. Because like the third episode had like the tomb hunting, like the tomb raiding.
That was the most mummy like episode, I think.
Yeah, and I was thinking during it's like, man, why can't the whole show be like this? Because I really enjoyed that part.
It has a Boba Fett problem. I like where the parts that were really awesome were not shown as much as, you know what I mean? Like this is like kind of the swashbuckling, that adventure style, and like that whole visual like thing of, like the cool stuff around, Khonshu blanketing, like creating an eclipse, like that was awesome. And then like Khonshu basically rewinding the night sky to the night when, he was like Amit was banished or whatever. Like that is crazy cool, like those things, but you don't get enough of it. It's like all their budget went to that, and then all the other CGI, all the other visuals and everything are kind of like lacking.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's like I don't know. I don't have too much to say about it, I think.
Yeah.
Every time I think about my thoughts, and it's just like it kind of a general blur of I didn't like it much. So,
fair
but
enough.
It's like I don't know. I'm curious to see how the next 2 episodes go.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious if it really does a lot of work to kind of redeem the series in my eyes, or whether it doesn't.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
But
it's like because it's 6 episodes, so 2 episodes is like a big chunk of it.
Yeah, I'll tell you that at the beginning of episode 5, you kind of get the you sort of get like a twist like Loki, like kind of expanding on, when the hippo shows up, like you get a little bit more context about what that means and stuff. So it's kind of cool, and like that seems like it's been I'm excited to see how it ends. Like I'll be honest. Like I think the last episode comes out tonight, so I guess by next week we'll both be finished, hopefully, with the show, and we can kind of maybe talk a bit more about how it ends. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'll try and be less of a buzzkill.
No, it's all good, man. Everyone's got their opinions, dude. That's all good. But yeah, I know you watched Band of Brothers.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if
I
there's
won't say too
much
much about it. I've got 2. It's like a 10-episode miniseries from 20 years ago.
Yes,
about World War II.
Yep.
I don't know why I suddenly wanted to watch it. I'm sure I saw the name at some point. It's like, oh yeah, and so I just started watching it.
And then you realize where all those Call of Duty, like kind of like Call of Duty just rips off a lot of stuff from that and Saving Private Ryan, maybe the original Call of Duties.
Yeah, because I think it was like kind of a follow, like a successor to Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, it is.
Because it's kind of like Steven Spielberg's company is involved and stuff. But it's
quite a lot of young actors, like quite a lot of prominent actors you see, like very young. Even Vin Diesel's
that's why it
in
came
there.
up. I remember now. And it came up because like of all the discussion of the last couple of weeks about the most expensive TV shows ever made.
Yeah.
And this one and the Pacific, which are both kind of the same, HBO series. Yeah. It's like those came up, and it's like, oh, that's right. I haven't seen Band of Brothers. That's why I started watching it.
What a weird. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have too much to say about it other than it really reminds me of watching a sports drama in that it is like exactly what the average person, especially like a 50-year-old white man, would want from a war story.
Underdogs fighting against odds.
Hits all the main points. It like, it doesn't it does like all the main, like it has like, the first episode is like basic training and getting, but except it's like a full episode length, which is actually really satisfying for that kind of, like usually that would be like 20 minutes or something in a
Yeah,
movie of
yeah.
some sort.
Like when
It
the
sounded
ragtag group of people get together.
yeah,
Like it's kind of
basically
setting that
like
up. Okay.
yeah, which is like, and it's like that's kind of what it is. It's like a whole. It's one of those like pretty cliched. It's based on real events, I think. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like a real book, but it's like it's one of those like relatively cliched war stories stretched out its 10 episodes, where it spends a lot of time on each core part of that story that
Cool.
you've definitely seen and heard several times.
Yeah.
But it's very satisfying in the same way like a sports drama thing is, where it's like it has the exact same structure that you expect it to have, and it doesn't really do anything to diverge
Gotcha.
from that structure in your
But
head.
it just does it well.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Okay.
is like I wasn't expecting. I mean, I should have expected that
Like,
really, but it's
like,
like
do the episodes kind of focus on one particular person in the, you know, in the group, like, and like
sometimes
their stories? Okay, cool.
it's like it's a big troop though.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Like I
it's like
presume.
yeah,
Oh,
it ends
sorry.
up being kind of a pretty. It ends up being a pretty like bleak. You know, it's like it's a World War II with a
Yeah.
platoon that's like at the front of the war. So a lot of it's just about how painful and bleak that
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
was.
It's
So
not.
it's
It's
not
not trying to
fun.
advertise war as a glorious thing. Like,
It is kind of because
Yeah.
it's like that kind of
oh
audience,
yeah, pride.
but it's like yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
I can imagine
But it
that.
is trying to yeah. It's
Okay.
20 years old, and the cast is incredibly white. I don't think there's any black people in it at all.
Which is.
Oh no, there's one.
which is in like contrast to how the war was actually fought. I think. Like. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
there
how
were
I
a lot
understood.
of. I mean, not just North African troops, part of the kind of the Allies, but also in the like African American troops and regiments and stuff. Which yeah.
Yeah, that stood out to me because it's like 2002 or 2001. And
Yeah.
It's like boy, it's like no diversity whatsoever. Not even like it's not even necessarily just African American people. It's like all anyone.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like European Irish and yeah, all that
Wow,
stuff.
wow.
Anyway, that's whatever.
20 years, fair enough.
Yeah,
So
I'm not saying it's
yeah.
anyway.
So
You watched Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I had I watched that. That was like a couple of days after we recorded the last episode, so I was so bummed out that I couldn't talk about it fresh. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it's more of the first movie. It's like it's a lot of dumb fun and a lot of jokes and a lot of in-jokes, like literally references to Sega Mega Drive / Genesis manuals, and like Robotnik going over the wall. Like it was a lot of fun, and it's like kind of predictable in a way. Like I'm not gonna say that it's anything groundbreaking, which don't expect that coming from a Sonic movie, but it has a lot more of that fun that you enjoyed in the original. Like it knows what it is. It knows it's like 90 minutes of dumb fun, but it has a lot of fun, a lot of jokes. It is some to the detriment. Like there's literally a joke about worker, worker rights in games companies, and that's a very weird joke to make in a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, especially given the fact that, like, remember the original Sonic the Hedgehog movie had that really kind of drastic redesign of Sonic's like character.
Yeah.
And that definitely resulted in a lot of crunch and a lot of lost hours for the visual effects people, right? So it's like you like even
Very
that
tasteless.
it's very tasteless, yeah. But it definitely has a lot of visual nods, a lot of kind of nods to the Sonic the Hedgehog games and stuff, and it was cool. Like even the kids like who were in the movie theater, it was like parents and kids, and like the dad would be wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt. You know what I mean? It was kind of cool, and like I would be like, oh my god, that reference, and the kids are coming at it from like watching Sonic Boom and maybe playing some of the recent games like Sonic Mania, whereas the parents are like kind of coming at it from like playing Mega Drive and Genesis when they were kids, and like the Sonic the Hedgehog games that I played mostly were the Sonic Advance games on emulator back 20 years ago now, so everyone's kind of got their like reference to Sonic, but it was so cool. It was like
I think I only
lot of fun.
played Sonic Heroes a lot.
Wow.
Remember those ones?
Now that's a deep pull. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of dumb jokes there, but it's just like it's endearing in the same way that the original was. Like Ben Schwartz does a really good job being Sonic, and like that whole like relationship with him and Tom. Not Tom Wachowski. Yeah, I guess Tom Wachowski is the character, but like James Marsden's character, and it's just a lot of silly fun, and It's definitely like I'm not sure if you'd want to pay for it in movie theaters, but definitely when it comes out on Netflix or whatever, I'd definitely give it a watch. I don't think you'd waste your time with it. And there's obviously a teaser for a third movie, which
Yeah, I think I
which
know
is
what that is.
interesting.
I think I heard about it.
Which is interesting because I think Jim Carrey is like thinking about retiring from acting. So
Yeah, he announced he's not doing movies anymore.
So it's like,
or not acting anymore.
So like a Sonic the Hedgehog movie without Robotnik is going to be a very weird movie. But I liked it. Tails was excellent. Like the actress who played Tails, and I think she actually is the voice of Tails in the TV show. So that's probably why it kind of gels so well. Like kind of really worked there. Knuckles the Echidna, like Idris Elba. I could take it or leave it, but he kind of plays like a Drax-like character in that he's like kind of like takes everything too literally. He's like a warrior, and he doesn't understand sarcasm and things like that. So they kind of play off that a little bit. So I definitely had fun with it. Like it was a lot of fun just seeing the stuff happen on the screen and a lot of the visual gags and everything. And yeah, it was definitely fun. Let's see. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on it. Like,
okay,
especially that joke about workers' rights. That'll be you'll know it. You'll be like, oof. Like, I can't believe they said that. I also finished Attack on Titan season 1. Like 9 years too late, but really good show. Fantastic. It's like one of those shows that just makes you want to keep watching. And apparently, like it gets better from here, which is like for anime a huge achievement because I feel like most anime from season 2 onwards like doesn't do as well.
Yeah, I think it's like very divisive.
Yeah.
In terms of quality and like in terms of how people see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it stays. It's good for like I enjoyed the majority of it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's very like plot heavy in a good way.
For sure.
It knows how to
I had to go on Reddit and figure out the viewing order and what's compulsory viewing and what's not. Yeah.
I like the overs and stuff. I would love it for those.
Yeah, they're so weird. So that was a lot of fun, and I've started season 2, so I'm keen to continue that. And then I watched The Lost City over the weekend, which is that new Sandra Bullock / Channing Tatum movie. It's sort of like Jumanji in a way, where it's like very tongue in cheek, and like it's just dumb, and you can kind of like see the twists from far away, but it's just like dumb. It's just dumb action.
Yeah,
sorry.
I just remembered I watched Uncharted. I forgot that happened.
I'm sure that it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Like wow, you watch Uncharted and you do
Jumanji-like music movie. I was like, oh, that's right. I watched Uncharted.
What did you think of Uncharted? Did you like it?
Kind of. It was about the exact quality I expected from it. It's like very mediocre. It's like it reminded me how like it really doesn't do anything particularly well. It does a couple things, but otherwise it's I don't know. Doesn't really like leave you thinking or remembering much. Just like okay, that was the movie that I expected to get.
Yeah.
But it did remind me that's like I remember seeing people like upset it was doing well, or like surprised it was doing well in the box office because it ended up making money. Like it didn't end up bombing. And I was thinking about how like it makes total sense because like I always think of Jumanji, and Lost City would be part of it. Where like Jumanji making way more money than anyone expected is kind of the first like new wave of like classic adventure movies because they don't make many of them anymore, and they haven't for a while. And Jumanji really reminded companies and people that it's like, oh, that's right, these movies are fun and they're really easy and I want to go watch them.
Sometimes you don't need a giant hole in the sky with some sort of existential threat of the universe to have fun for 2 hours.
Like that's exactly. That's what Uncharted like. It didn't surprise me that it did well because it's like I don't think it didn't look great. It wasn't great. Yeah. But it's like it's a movie you just go to because like oh that'll be exactly what I want from it. Yeah. And it is mostly.
Yeah. Like have you played the Uncharted games?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like how did you find it in terms of capturing? I guess. What was it like? Like the Tomb Raider games are kind of. So it's like the Uncharted series was criticized as being called, Dude Raider, when it was like, oh, it's Lara Croft but a dude with a lot more killing. Yeah. and then Lara Croft was kind of like a female, like 90s edgy take on Indiana Jones, which itself is like kind of like a, take on like classic pulp kind of like adventure stories and stuff. So how did you find that the game translated to the movie? Do you think the games did a better job of being cinematic than the movie?
Not sure I did a better job, but like it did yeah, because I was gonna write something about it. I'm not sure if I'll finish it. Because I ended up like logging my thoughts on it. So I have some stuff to say.
Sure.
So like, which again I forgot. Uh, so part of it is like I thought Wahlberg was largely a bad fit for Sully because his role in the movie is to be like the mentor that, he's meant to be like the like, I'm not sure if he's a mentor. Like he is a mentor in the games, but in the movie he's not quite meant to be there yet. But it's like he's meant to be someone who you don't trust, you shouldn't trust. But in the game, how I saw him, and how I saw like Wahlberg was kind of trying to play him but failing. He's meant to be someone that you kind of want to. He's meant to be a character you can't trust, but you really kind of want to and end up trusting regardless, because you just want to believe that he'll do better next time.
Yeah,
that's how I saw him.
Because in the games it was like that.
Yeah, at least a little bit. It's just like that arc of his life.
He was
like
flawed but lovable
by the time he started. Yeah, like, and Wahlberg's, I don't find him to fit that kind of character much at all. So I didn't like that. I thought the casting was otherwise fine. I thought it was like, it's very much, I think it's trying to be kind of a prequel to where the games start.
Yeah,
largely.
Like I think
like it felt more like that than I expected.
Like Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, I think is a great casting. Because he's got the physicality and he pulls off like Spider-Man is he's very good at quips, and you believe him when he delivers the quips and stuff, right? And and you believe him embodying the physicality of the character, of the stunts and everything, right? Like Wahlberg, I feel like Wahlberg, like in a lot of his roles, he always calls out how dumb things are, and he's just that guy who reacts to everything. He's like, whereas, I don't know, a Sully needs to be someone who's like, you believe them as being someone who's kind of been doing it for a while, and like it's not kind of like I'm over this shit, but like is a bit more knowing than, I don't know, than what it looks like. I haven't seen it, but
yeah, because he's like introduced as someone who's, I should have said spoilers at some point.
Whoops.
Anyway, but he's like introduced as someone who's like, just in the first scene, he feels kind of like scary.
Yeah.
In a way that you don't really like. He feels like a threat in a way. And then right afterwards, he kind of stops being that. He kind of starts being kind of dopey and making a lot of like jokes that undermine whatever kind of role he's meant to be having in a serious sense.
Yeah.
He just kind of ends up being like the straight man to Holland and everything else around him. So it's, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, like speaking of Spider-Man as well, that's like pretty much Holland's entire moveset in terms of like as an action hero, which I actually found kind of interesting. It's like he's very agile and nimble.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is kind of actually unusual for like an action hero protagonist. You think of like John Wick or one of the Fast and Furious movies where Vin Diesel's just superhuman.
They just bricks.
Yeah. They're made out of bricks and they just hit people.
They're
like
just like
they are
invincible.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this one, like he moves around like Spider-Man, basically. Like he's kind of, moving very quickly and nimbly, which I found kind of like, oh, that was kind of clever.
Makes sense for a young Nathan Drake, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I thought so. Yeah, and like also there's not much like shooting in it, which I thought for it's like, oh, they actually did a pretty good job focusing this around punching each other, even though there are guns in it, which I thought was kind of clever.
Even though like all of Nathan Drake's game appearances just involve him killing hundreds of people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I suppose it's like it's a movie, it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
But I realized towards the end, it's like, oh yeah, Drake, he shoots at people like once or twice. And otherwise the story ends up being about like a proper, swashbuckling adventure.
Like an Indiana
where
Jones.
He's like jumping from place to place,
That's cool.
Escaping people or punching people or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think this did a better job of swashbuckling than, like, how do you think this compares? Like, because I feel like a movie like The Mummy is like that's like on the fun scale of swashbuckling. You know what I mean? And then like maybe, I guess like even Indiana Jones can be serious, but like, where does this kind of sit? Like, is this like very like tongue in cheek, or is this like a Moon Knight thing where it's kind of like a bit more serious?
It's just on the scale of Moon Knight to
to the
to
Mummy.
um, yeah, I guess it's close to the Mummy. It's very
Okay.
lighthearted. It's
That's
trying
good.
to be. It's
Yeah.
lots of wisecracks to kind of its own detriment sometimes because it's like really trying to get it out there,
Yeah.
get them out there sometimes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm not sure I had much else to talk about.
Did the Chloe Fraser actress get her accent right? Because I feel like in the trailer, she just like came across very like robotic and like.
I thought she was
know.
good actually.
Okay, good.
I
I'm
liked
glad
her
that the
in it.
movie is a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if like in the next, I wonder if there's going to be a number one, like a number two. I'm sure there has to be if it's done enough.
I think they announced they're like
Okay.
seeing it as a franchise, so I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
see at least one more. Yeah.
Just who would you cast as Sully if Wahlberg doesn't return? Who do you think would be a good Sully? Don't say Chris
don't-
Pratt. I will slap you. He's like everyone's swashbuckler.
He'd look closer to it in grey hair.
That's true. That's true. Especially with a
But,
mustache.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Peter
but-
Quill kind of looks like a young Sully with the mustache.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I don't know. Actually, speaking of, actually, Kurt Russell, maybe he might actually not be a bad fit. He's old as well.
He's old. That's the problem.
No, he's like that. Like he's old, he's ancient in the movie in the games.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not
but that's
ancient,
like
very-
that's also like Nathan Drake in his late 30s, whereas this is like
Yeah.
Nathan Drake in his early 20s.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe like it, like I can see him being like in like the old, like when it's like setting an older version of Nathan Drake. But I guess like who would be like a young Kurt Russell? Like I'm just trying to think like who would be a good Sully, because like I'm just trying to think who could play him very well, because like
Yeah, I really can't think of any off the top of my head.
damn,
Bad at
we're
that.
terrible. We're terrible at this.
Yeah,
Who
but
knows?
it's like, yeah, I don't know. Wahlberg's definitely got to stick around, I think, because he's a producer on it.
oh
so
well,
he's
he made
very
money
much
on both
attached.
ends. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he's done weird game stuff. Like he did he was Max Payne, for goodness sake.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's all right.
God, who knows? We'll see. Like I just hope that it's the next one might be capture a bit more of the awesomeness, like kind of the awesome part of the games. Maybe it will. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe it'll be just better written.
But yeah, did you play Battlefield as well?
Yeah. So I Battlefield. So DICE issued the 4.0 update, which is pretty crazy because that game's like 6 months old and is already up to version 4. So
Yeah.
in this was kind of the big update that I guess a lot of people are criticizing the game, saying this is what it should have been at launch. So the major features that were added were like a leaderboard and voice chat, as well as a lot of fixes to the gameplay and everything. Like guns, when you shoot people, it's a lot more accurate. Like bullets are actually registering now, which I thought would be
That's good.
which I thought would be a launch feature, but clearly not.
Yeah.
So I've been playing it. I've been having fun. Obviously, the game requires a lot of like I'm playing it at 4K, and so to get like decent frame rates, I've had to kind of scale down the game to like 80% scaling. Which the annoying thing is, like all those options aren't in the game, which
Right.
I don't understand why. It's got all these other advanced NVIDIA features and blah blah blah, but like things like show me the FPS counter in the game, I have to go into the command and like kind of add it in like an old school Counter-Strike thing. And like if I want to scale the picture, so like I can't run the game at 100%. I have to scale the image down to 80%. Still looks good, but like I have to turn everything down to like medium or low, which is fine because the game still looks good. But it's like why do I have to go to consoles? Why do I have to look up multiple YouTube videos to figure out how to get this game running properly? You know what I mean? That's frustrating. But otherwise,
It's
like
just PC gaming in a nutshell. Sometimes.
yeah. But otherwise, like I actually enjoyed the time that I played with it, like in it. Like definitely, like the specialists, I can take it or leave it. I just kind of use like a couple of specialists and just be like, okay, you're my sniper person and you're my healing person, and then maybe I'll do an engineer. Like, I think the specialists in general aren't a bad idea, but I think what DICE needs to do is actually say, okay, you know how in Overwatch and games like that, they're like, okay, you're a tank, you're a damage dealer, you're a healer, right? Or you're a
Yeah.
magic user. So if the game had more of that, saying, okay, well, the traditional sniper / recon, medic, assault, and engineer person or support, like, okay, so you're the person who gets the, cloaking, or you get like the reconnaissance stuff, and you get to use the sniper rifles. But these are 3 specialists you can choose from that have different abilities. I think if the game actually did that, rather than just throwing you in and being like, okay, you can choose whatever you want. Like,
Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, but like I remember when we originally talked about it around
that was
launch, and I was very wrong in. Oh, not very wrong, but a fair bit wrong on my understanding of how the specialists worked. And I looked about after, and never, we ended up never talking about it again. I think, like specifically about that.
because no one talked about Battlefield again.
Yeah, but it's like I remember thinking like that. You're like what you're saying is like exactly what I was thinking. It's like, oh, why would they? Like I see now because I was looking at the specialists individually, and
Yeah.
like half of them at least, I was like, okay, this one's meant to be this class. This one's
Yeah.
meant to be that class,
Yeah.
and some of them are a little more loose.
Yeah.
And it's this thing. It's like, man, it's sort of like. It seems like, yeah, like why didn't they just do what you did? Like you're saying, it's like,
Whereas now it's like you can play anything, and so you don't know who's what.
yeah,
So like before, you had a very clear idea. Okay, I know you're the medic person. I would run to you because you had that character profile. You had those armor, whatever. You had the med packs on you. Like it's like, why not have a hybrid? Why get rid of that completely? Because I don't think anyone was complaining about that. It's like they fixed something that wasn't broken, but then they ended up breaking another part of the game. And I don't know if they can fix it now because it seems like such a fundamental part of the game. But if I were DICE, I would say, okay, you get to choose these specialists, and these specialists have these gadgets and stuff that work for them, like hero abilities. You could think of it that way, right? But then group them underneath those class designations, and so if someone's got one of these characters, they're going to have they're going to be the person to resupply me. They're going to be the one with the machine gun. Like traditionally, over the past couple of Battlefields, it's been, like Battlefield, like it's been like, okay, one's a medic class, one's an engineer class, one's a sniper class, and one's a support class, which is like they ammunition supplies and things like that. They get the heavy weapons like machine guns and stuff. The engineers get repair tools and things like that, but they don't get to carry as many heavy weapons, right? And the snipers get the sniper rifles and the marksman rifles, but they can't use like assault rifles and things like that. And then the medic class is like, okay, you have like a assault rifle and kind of like you're like a kind of general person, right? So those already worked, and they worked well. And now it's kind of like a mishmash of everything, and you don't know who is what they can like, can they help me? Can they not help me? Can they revive me? Can they not revive me? What is my squad made up of? And it's really like silly. It seems like an unnecessary problem they've created. But like I think the game fundamentally now is a better place. Like, I mean, it's. Now the problem is like getting that player base back, because like most of the matches I was playing was like full of bots, which is weird.
Yeah, so there was an out like people noticed like a few weeks ago or so that like the Steam player base is like under 1,000 or something like that.
It was
like it's
really
low.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got a boost in the week that I was playing because that's when the update came out. So that's like I started seeing a lot more people there. And what happens is like apparently like every time you end a match, it dumps everyone out of the queue and starts matchmaking again, rather than what it used to do. It'd be like, okay, we're going to take these group of players and we're going to start another match. Now, like this is covered in a Level Cap video. He's like one of the big YouTubers around Battlefield, and he said that like before, what would happen is that you'd just be grouped with the same people and they just steamroll you. If they're a really tough team, they would just continuously beat you game after game. So DICE is like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have everyone go back to matchmaking, and you're going to pull from a new pool of players, which is great if you have a lot of players. But if you don't, you're still going to match with the same people. It's just now taking 2 to 3 minutes instead of a minute, like to find a game. And it's silly. It's just...
Yeah.
And like...
You'd think the easiest solution to that would just jumble who was already there if you really needed to fix that issue.
Right?
But,
right?
Yeah.
Like it... You know what I mean? That makes sense. And then that means the matchmaking can start, okay, you can start the next round with this group, and then maybe at the end of like what Battlefield used to do was like, okay, at the end of maybe 2 or 4 games, then it would shuffle everyone. Like, you know, you get one side, you start off one side of the map, and then the next one you start off as the defenders or whatever, and you kind of shuffle it around that way. But now it's just like, now most of the games start off with a lot of bots until real players kind of join in. And it's like, I'm getting a lot of kills and stuff on AI, and it's like, I don't feel like and the AI is dumb. Like, it's not like I'm getting, it's not like Titanfall where the games are so small that like, you have the core players, and then the AI is just kind of like fodder for you to level up or to get extra XP and stuff, right? In this, it's like the players you're fighting are AI.
Yeah.
So it kind of robs you of the victory of like, oh, I've got that shot. I did really well in this gunfight. It's like, no, they're just dumb. You're going to win it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, now that your
that's
bullets
true.
are actually registering, you know, it's
Yeah.
yeah, like my
Yeah, it's
worry,
like have fun
yeah.
against these mannequins, please.
And that's the thing, like
Yeah, the gun finally works.
Battlefield's already going to Game Pass and things like that. Like they're probably gonna have to make it like a free game eventually. Then it's like, what happens to all of us who pre-ordered? I mean, maybe that's a like indictment on people like me who pre-order games. But it's like, why should I have to suffer just because I was excited about something? You know?
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
But you'll get a bunch of profile decals.
Oh, for sure. And it's yeah. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
it needs more maps as well. Like I really think it's got like a handful of maps, which I get it, they're huge scale and things like that, but it's like, you don't need all that scale if you just have variety. Like, you don't need 128 players. It's good on the box, but it's like, when maps take like, when you can't get to a vehicle and it takes you like literally 3 minutes to run from an objective to another one, that sucks, because you're just running out there in the open and just getting sniped, because there's no way to get from here to there.
It's like an amazing problem for a game to have. Is like, okay, we're making maps bigger and bigger, and the bigger they get, the harder they are to make, and the slower they are to make.
Like,
and now they're just
exactly
so few of them.
And the thing, like, if DICE literally said, we're gonna do a throwback, like one of the map sets we're gonna do is a throwback map from like Battlefield 4, I don't think anyone would complain, even though, like, you know, some people might say, oh, they're just copying and pasting, blah, blah, blah. But, like, because some of those maps are really good and really resonated. Like, there's maps like Wake Island that people really resonate with. Maps like, like Shanghai, Siege of Shanghai and stuff that were iconic from Battlefield 4. Like, I loved Guilin Peaks. That was, like, one of my favorite maps of any game, any shooter ever from Battlefield 4. And that I think, could do really well here. But
Metro,
like, you know, like, they're not there. They're all missing. Like, yeah.
I was basically
Anyway.
laughing about that one.
No, like,
Is
that
one just
became
like
a fan favorite. So that's...
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a murder, like you basically tunnel or murder, but it's still a lot of crazy fun. Like, imagine
yeah,
having...
it's like better than what you got now.
Well, yeah, like, imagine, like, it was kind of like the idea that was there in Battlefield 3 and 4, where it's like kind of stages of a map, right? And imagine now with 128 players, you have maps that stretch out over kilometers. You could have an entire section that was like Operation Metro, but within a larger map, where another part of the map could be like, okay, so this is the train station part, and then this is like, what was it? VOD 311, which was like one of the maps there, where it was like, it's like in like a train yard where the trains are built, right? So you could have like one side is where the trains are like running, and then the other side of the map are where the train yards are, like, and you could have 2 different types of fights with helicopters on one side, and then on the inside it's like kind of on foot and stuff. Like, Battlefield, like, the developers are talented enough to do that. It's just, where was that? Like, why did EA rush this game out? You know, it seems like a game that I don't think, maybe people are just burnt out on the Ubisoft thing of, we'll release a game that's shit and then we'll take 5 years to fix it. I think maybe players are burnt out with that and are not willing to give that chance anymore.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's still so weird to me that they didn't just do Battlefield 4 again.
Yeah.
Because I keep thinking about how, like, that was my, like, so, like, that was like the only expectation I had.
Yeah.
When they announced
That's what I wanted. That's
like,
all I wanted.
Yeah, I know. It's like what everyone wanted. And it's just like, okay, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, especially after World War II or
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Like, I forget what
Battlefield 5. Well, like
Yeah,
literally
5.
they went World War 1, World War 2, and then future.
Yeah. But it's like after 5, like 5 was a disappointment
Mm.
financially
Yeah.
and critically, I think. And it's like, it didn't do well. So you'd think they'll go, okay, back to the drawing board. We'll do a
Yeah.
normal one that like people will like,
Mm.
which I guess was kind of 5 as well, because that was still relatively traditional.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. And it's just like yeah, like all the friends that I used to play Battlefield with, they just checked out.
Yeah.
Like they just went back to Battlefield 4. And they were playing Battlefield, like one of them, he's been playing Battlefield 4 since launch. He tried 1, didn't like it, went back. I don't even think he played 5. I only played 5 because it came free with my graphics card when I got it. Because there was like some promo code, that and Anthem. Which if I could give back to get a discount on the card, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Got a roll with EA.
Oh, yeah. Like some of my favorite games ever, EA, Mass Effect, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Battlefield 4. Like EA has made really awesome games before, but it's like, where's that EA? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love Dragon Age Inquisition, but I don't know if the new Dragon Age is going to be that good. Like I don't trust EA as a company to focus on the right things and give its teams the right tools. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And everyone deserves a good game. Everyone deserves good games. Sorry, John.
No, sorry. It's like I just wanted to mention it before I forgot. Something I've been like I thought about while watching Band of Brothers is like it distinctly reminded me of Medal of Honor and that game existed.
Yes.
I forgot about that series. I was like, oh, that's right.
Like, because I think Medal of Honor was like 1998, 1999. It was developed like at the height of like Saving Private Ryan fever, like World War II kind of nostalgia.
Yeah, because it feels like it. Like I didn't realize until because I've seen Saving Private Ryan kind of recently, but I didn't think of Medal of Honor.
Yeah,
but it's like I think because like I think I've only played one of the Wii ones when I was like way younger. Like because that one was like a paratrooper based one as well.
Yes, that's the one
that's what Band of Brothers is about.
Oh, I forget what it was called. I remember that being well reviewed. Like people liked that one.
Yeah, and that's like that. I think that's what like whatever those like very latent memories in my genetics.
Medal of Honor used to be a cinematic game. That's what people used to think of as a cinematic game.
Yeah.
Like there was a story, there was all these cutscenes, and there was all these like kind of diary entries and stuff. Like a whole character, like whole lore was built around your character and stuff. And yeah,
because I was thinking it's like, admittedly, the World War II games seem to have like fallen mostly flat with like COD and
there was too many eventually.
Oh no, I just mean
the recent ones. Yeah.
I was just thinking, it's like why did they do another one? Because I remember them being cool, and then it's like, oh, okay, I know why they're not making another one.
Yeah, and like Call of Duty, like the Medal of Honor games were influenced by Saving Private Ryan, and the people who made Medal of Honor hated EA and basically forked off and created Infinity Ward and created the Call of Duty series. And the Call of Duty series borrowed heavily from, I think, Band of Brothers at the time, like telling the whole story like from the different perspectives, and then telling the soldier story. Like, okay, you're going to go from this soldier from basic training to like his missions and traveling around, and you meet like you're basically following the same group of people and things like that. And then it kind of flashes to the other soldier from like the not German, but like the British perspective. And like I don't know if you've played the original Call of Duty 1 and 2, but it was a lot more kind of like telling the story of an individual soldier and stuff like that.
Over the years, I've kind of someone like I hear about someone playing it for the first, like reading comments from someone reading it, like having played it recently. It's like, oh, that's right. Like they were meant to be very good. They're so different from what they are nowadays.
Like I think Call of Duty 1 got like 9s and like 8s and 9s when it came out back in 2003. Like that's how long ago we're talking. Yeah,
but
Anyway,
bring it back.
That's going to do it for another episode of Double Jump Radio. As always, please come and say hi live on Twitch. Ask us questions. We'll read out your questions and some of the responses you give, just like we did with Kai and Ruby earlier tonight. And if you have questions at home, please write in at podcast@doublejump.co and we'll answer them on next week's show. As always, Double Jump Radio is made possible thanks to the support of our wonderful members. You too can support Double Jump by heading to doublejump.co/memberships and signing up today, or heading over to patreon.com/doublejump and finding us there and becoming a patron. But yeah, John, once again, thank you so much. Always appreciate our chats and catching up every week and talking about the gaming news. But yeah, it's been awesome, dude. Good to be back.
No worries. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, glad to be talking again. Excited for more of it. Yeah.
Excited to maybe finish off our Moon Knight talk next week.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Maybe I'll get into that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure I'm watching it after this.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Binge. I'll be maybe I'll get into the Overwatch 2 beta and have some feedback there as well. So
okay.
interesting to see what happens there. 'Cause it's been a while since I've played Overwatch. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I've heard interesting things about that one, so I'll be curious.
we'll find out. Well, until next time, everyone. Look out for one another. Peace.